were up late last night, maybe watching the debate. It wasn't that late, I guess, but and it did not disappoint if you were looking for fireworks. I think all these types of debates do so. Let's talk about it. From Harbor Strategic Public Affairs, our friend John Sellek. John, good morning.
Good morning.
This is pretty much your job, is to watch and analyze these things, isn't it? It's a good job.
I had my notepad out. I had my pen and paper out. I had to stay up and watch all the analysis last night and try to soak it in.
Yeah. Did you do any drinking game thing where, like, every time they mention Ukraine, you got to drink a shot or something? That's dangerous. That could be a bad thing because they did a lot. Obviously, they took the pot shots at former President Trump. I thought Christie was pretty. I think he knew he had to be a little more aggressive this time around. You think? I mean, he's going to have to do something soon besides just, hey, I'm not Donald Trump, all right?
Right, because he seemingly made the whole purpose of his campaign to take down Trump, which did help guarantee him a lot of media coverage because the media is looking for that fight to take place, and the other candidates were kind of trying to be more careful. Ramaswamy's example of probably the most extreme last night, and when he tried to separate the MAGA movement from Trump altogether and say it belonged to the people and not Trump. And I think you're right. Christie was more aggressive last night, but more like the old Christie, calmly intense. Not everybody can be intense and calm or under control at the same time. He kind of was doing that. And actually, Mike, what he reminded me of last night is somebody that in the past would have been considered a perfect running mate. Somebody that was willing to go out and do all the knife fighting, do all the mean things to the opponents, and kind of then stay out of the way of the president. That's not going to work in this situation, but he kind of made me think of somebody that way last night.
If there was we always tend to take political battles like a sporting event. It's a pet peeve of mine, really, because it's so much more to it than that. However, when you start analyzing this stuff, it sounds like a sporting event. Who do you think came out in front last night?
Well, the trick answer to that is Trump, because they took their shots at him, but they didn't really land any. He didn't need to be there and become the center of attention. And it basically turned it into a fight to see who is the challenger to the challenger. So who's the challenger to DeSantis that could somehow become the anointed person to go one-on-one at some point down the road with Trump? And we're not really seeing that because they all took their turns attacking each other. And that early lead that DeSantis, that's diminished over the course of the year, but that DeSantis built is still there for him to some extent. I think last night he probably came away in the best position because he clearly has been working at his delivery. He still has some unnatural moments and some kind of uncomfortable, like clenched teeth, kind of like half grins that he does between questions when he's concentrating. But he's working reportedly with some of the best GOP debate prep people. You can tell his answers were more natural. He knew he needed to be more aggressive and insert himself as he went along. So he probably did well. I think Nikki Haley turned in another strong performance. You can tell that it's having an effect because she was finally under attack last night by the others.
Yeah. It's funny. It does turn into a lot of it is a lot of body language and image. Unfortunately, of course, there's substance, and we want to know what the answer. But we do tend to just focus sometimes on body language and that. And you're right. DeSantis has these. And Trump does too, honestly. And I like Donald Trump. But when he does that shoulder dip thing sometimes, and some of these body movements, and I think we learned a lot about it back in the early days of television debates, famously with Nixon and Kennedy and all of that. That's too bad. But what about Ramaswamy last night? I don't know. I didn't think that it wasn't quite the same as the first time for me. Maybe it's because we've seen him. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, and I'm sure for him, too, that first debate was the first time he had to really jump up on stage and talk to a wider audience than he had, and so he probably had a different energy and attitude also. It's just human nature. And, and like you said, these debates, to the credit of everybody on the stage, they're not natural situations. Everyone is, dressed up in their best suit, and they're looking as stiff as possible up there trying to stand straight and stand before a podium for 2 hours straight on national TV and not itch their ear and not twitch their eye or not have a fly land on their head. like
Yeah.
happened to Mike Pence. It's not an easy situation. So, Ramaswamy, what I thought last night, he showed that he recognized his polling numbers are dropping. That big moment he had may have just been his peak, and that the more people focused on him as a possible actual contender instead of somebody that was a lot of fun on the campaign trail, the issues with his age and his experience and all that came to fore. And you can tell his team knows that because he switched into a lower tone for a while and said, look, I know I look like a young man in a hurry, and I may not have enough experience, but I know what to do, and I'll surround myself with all the top people. Like, that whole explanation right there was a sign that he was seeing a lot of weakness, and I don't think that line probably did anything to fix it, but the fact that they felt he had to kind of come down off the showman side and even say that is an indication of some of his difficulties.
I think the whole visit with the UAW with Donald last night, again, I got to say, I think Donald Trump wins the night. I mean, don't you think so? Donald Trump, and the other thing about image, I don't think Trump cares. He just talks, man. He just goes. And I think we appreciate that.
Yeah, because even though a lot of Democrats can't stand him and their disdain for him, sometimes pretty legitimate, blinds them to his ability to connect with people. He's really good, like Congresswoman Debbie Dingell has said, at identifying people's anxieties and talking about their worries and just like stripping off and getting blunt about it. He's also in the CBS News poll from last Sunday. Mike, they looked at top qualities people wanted in a president, and the number one quality was being tough. And Trump had almost double the percentage on tough than Biden did. It was like 65-35. And one number that Biden didn't have that showed up for Trump was that he's an entertainer. 55% of people, that means that lurched into the Dem zone, see him as an entertainer, which means they will listen to him and they'll say, what crazy things he's going to say today, so he does a better job of connecting.
We could talk, and we could go all day on it, man, but we are up on time. John Sellek, Harbor Strategic Public Affairs, we appreciate it. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks.